What is this strange thing that I'm wearing there in that video? Well, first of all, happy to see you here. It's been a while that we posted informational videos on the Aulos, and here we are back with the Aulos Collective channel, and we've prepared quite some interesting videos coming up in the next weeks and months. And first of this is the video about the Phorbeia. This is actually a funny looking leather strap, isn't it? Well, it's not only for the look. It is actually something that is pretty useful and very old. I will show you some very interesting iconography about the Phorbeia and also about citations of ancient texts where it is described why they were using the Phorbeia and what for. And then I have also prepared some recordings with Callum. He recorded some Aulos for us where he's going to play with Phorbeia and without Phorbeia, so we can even hear the sound difference of this leather strap and what it is doing. There's actually pretty many different forms of it, and that's why the iconography is going to be pretty interesting. So I can show you about the details of it, and in some future video I will also show you how I make a new version of it, because this one has one large slit, but there is also iconography with two holes for the reeds, and I'm very interested in how that might sound like. Let's dive into it. The oldest piece of art showing Phorbeia that I found is a Phrygian statue of Kybele or Kybele from Hattusa, Anatolia. The small Aulos player is clearly playing double reeds and wearing a Phorbeia. On these two statues there is an interesting detail. Visibly the Aulos player has a Phorbeia, clearly with one large opening for the two reeds. On this iconography, the Phorbeia is one band going around the neck with a thin top band over the head, and this is attached by a ring to the Phorbeia. And here it is the same Phorbeia style as before. Also on this one, the large ring for the thin top band is nicely visible. It seems to be a Phorbeia with one opening for the reeds. This one is a different construction. The top band and the back band are attached to one big ring. A third version has the Phorbeia attached to the back band by a little ring. This is going over the back of the hat to hold it tight on the lips, and there is another ring in the middle of the Phorbeia to attach the top band going over the head to hold the Phorbeia in position on the lips so it does not slip down when moving the head. This beautiful krater from Taranto has a very detailed picture of an Aulos player holding a Phorbeia in his hand. I will zoom into it. Again, we see a thin top band attached by maybe rings, and there is a back band, and this is interesting now. It has a hook to attach the Phorbeia when it is positioned on the mouth. This Phorbeia has two holes formed like water drops facing each other to place the reeds into the mouth. The form of the holes is interesting. Why is it not simply round or like a lentil? Maybe for the tension that is put up on the leather strap. I think I have to make one to get a better idea. This iconography shows also the Phorbeia with two holes like water drops, same as the one before. What did we learn from the iconography? The Phorbeia is a band that is going over the lips and that is attached on the back of the head, mostly by some little attached strap on a little ring, or sometimes it is one band that goes all round. The Phorbeia always has the top band, which goes over the top of the head, and by experience I can say it is for holding the Phorbeia in position so it does not slip down. Then these attachments are very often with little rings, especially for the top band. And then also there is a version that has a little hook on the band that goes around the back that seems to be to attach it easier. And then there is two different versions. One version which has one large slit to fit both reeds into it, and another version that has these little holes that sometimes seem to have the form of water drops facing each other. It is widely believed today that the Phorbeia was used to support our embouchure, our facial muscles, our cheeks. However, it also appears to have served another purpose, which is to sweeten and to refine the sound. This seems to be suggested by academic research, by the ancient source material, and also by our own experiments, as we shall now demonstrate. What our friend Gnaios is thinking of, I haven't a clue, for still he puffs with no dainty pipe, but with savage blasts restrained by no Phorbeia. The quote tells us that wearing a Phorbeia was not only common, but also important in ancient times. I found these coming quotes in the article La Phorbeia by Annie Belis from 1986. It is actually a very good read. I will add links to the quotes, articles, and etc. in the description. Greek texts mention this Phorbeia. The oldest mention can be found in a fragment attributed to Simonides and quoted by Plutarch. He writes of Marsyas: "He fitted the fringe of his temples with gleaming gold, and his greedy mouth he fitted with thongs bound behind the head." And also by Plutarch, analyzing verses attributed to Simonides that describe Marsyas. "And Marsyas, it seems, by a Phorbeia and cheekbands repressed the violence of his breath and tricked up and concealed the distortion of his face." Here we see clearly the aesthetic purpose of using a Phorbeia. This reminds me to Athena, who one day while she was playing saw herself in the mirror and was horrified of how her cheeks inflated, so she threw the Aulos away, and later Marsyas found it. So it looks like he found the trick to get around the distorted face by using the Phorbeia. Commenting on Aristophanes' muzzled raven, the scholiast writes, "Perhaps a jeer at the dark complexion of Caeris. The Aulos player is dressed, it would seem, to represent a raven. The Phorbeon is a piece of leather put round the mouth of an Aulos player to prevent the lips from cracking." This quote shows us how using the Phorbeia is beneficial for the lips. Another scholar on Aristophanes offers a third explanation. The Phorbeia is a leather band which is bound around the Aulete's mouth so that the breath can be let out steadily, making the sound of the Aulos more pleasant. In the conclusion of her article, Annie Belis summarizes, "The Phorbeia is therefore, for the Aulete and the reed trumpet player, if not essential, at least useful. It assists sustained playing by sparing the musician too much strain of the facial muscles. It contributes to producing powerful and bright sonorities and, on the other hand, enables a better, more fluid and uninterrupted sound. This is the reason virtuoso auletes wear it to musical competitions where they must show all their talents, strength and endurance, as well as the refinement of the tones." And now I will pass you over to Callum, who will explain the practical applications of the Phorbeia.
Hello everyone. In order to lighten things up a bit, I will illustrate what I want to say through our animated special guest all the way from the pizza panel. Let us begin by listening to two recordings on the Posidonia Aulos. Both recordings shall use the same loose embouchure and lax lip support, and will both use the same instruments and reeds. These recordings were also taken 30 seconds apart to take into account the effects of reeds drying out and temperature change. The first recording will be with a Phorbeia, and the second recording will be without a Phorbeia. So now let's listen to the differences between the two. You can hear in these clips that the Aulos sounds much cleaner with the Phorbeia, even with the lax embouchure, whereas without the Phorbeia, the sound with the lax embouchure is less focused, more buzzy and harder to tune. I would now like to point out that it is actually possible with practice to play without a Phorbeia and still produce a focused, well-rounded sound. You can learn more about this in our video Aulos Sound, link in the description. But for now, here is a demonstration again of the same tune but with a stronger, more focused embouchure and without a Phorbeia. So that was my part, and now back to Max.
The iconography gave us a nice idea how the Phorbeia is constructed, which details we have to watch out for when we want to reconstruct it. The source material shows us why it was used, what it was used for, and I think the sound recordings are pretty interesting to listen to see what the actual sound with and without Phorbeia is. For me, the sound with the Phorbeia is much clearer, much stronger and much richer. The Phorbeia is a thing that I personally mostly use on the older pipes, but that might also be down to that I don't play it much yet on the Louvre and it's just a matter of training. It can definitely help us to improve the sound and to play longer and to have easier and more relaxed muscles. I want to reconstruct a Phorbeia. I want to apply what I saw in the iconography that says using little rings on the attachments, making a hook for the back attachment and make a version with two holes in the way they were formed on the iconography. I very much invite you to see the next video where I'm going to show you how I'm constructing the Phorbeia, and I want to help you to choose the right materials and see how this can be done. Thank you for watching.